nothing takes more bravery than being accountable. Nothing is more fearful than having to be accountable to the people who depend on you.
What's up, everybody? This is Real with Ryan, where I have real conversations with real people who are ready to answer real questions. And today I have Mr. JR, and I met Mr. JR in Market Street. And the reason I wanted him on my podcast, because all the times that we talk, it's like the energy's there. We always asking each other questions. We just goofy, and we kind of just bounce off each other. So I was like, yeah, he's going to be on my podcast. So, Mr. JR, introduce yourself. Tell him a little bit about yourself.
Okay, number one, since I'm on the real podcast with the real Ryan, this is real JR. I'm feeling this real good energy. Let's see here. A little bit about myself. I am 44 years old. I'm right at the age that you start to forget how old you are. My wife had to remind me this year that I was not 45. I had been telling, I was like, yeah, because, at 45, she was like, you're not 45. I was like, I'm not. But you start to get once you get past 40, it'll start blending. You'll have to tell me about it. But I've been married for 17 years. I've got three beautiful girls: Olivia, Leah, and Maya. I am a child of five. I am the second oldest. Um, and I don't know. I'll just kind of let you take it from there. But I will say that as far as when you say a real person, I just try to do and expound on every gift that the universe gave me. So if it's giving, if it's my art, if it's hard work, I really just try to be my full, authentic self every day. I feel like I owe the ancestors like giving it my best. So that's my intro.
Got you. So, Mr. JR, you got this energy about you. So, I want to know, how do you motivate people? Like, if you wanted to motivate somebody to do something, what are some ways you're gonna try and do that?
Okay, so that's a good question. Motivation is probably one of my superpowers. Like I really get gratification by motivating other people, seeing other people succeed. So it's funny that you asked me that. I think when you really genuinely want to do something, you find ways to perfect your craft. And for me, like when other people win that are associated with me, I mean it goes deep down. I think the first time I ever really felt it was when my brother was graduating from high school. I was so freaking happy for him that it was just like the joy I had never felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like the first time where I could see that other people's happiness makes me like go more than my own happiness.
Yeah.
So that I think it is whatever it is that is your driving force, you'll learn how to do it and do it well. So for me, I like to pull people's strings. The more I get to know you or anybody else, like with my daughter, I know the motivating factors that will get her going. Even with my wife, you have to learn your people. And I'm like, okay, I know how to motivate her.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to learn how to motivate myself. So for me, I just talk bad to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't curse because this is a family show, I'm assuming. But but what I will do is I'll talk real bad like you weak, you sorry, like all these things that I would just not stand for. Like because that's the kind of person
Mm-hmm.
I am. Like those fighting words. Like those is it's time to show up words. And when you say it to yourself, look at you lazy. You lazy. Lay in bed then. Don't go run the 4 miles. Just lay in bed, lazy fat boy.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's enough for me to hop out of bed at midnight, put my shoes on, and go get them four
Yeah.
miles.
So if y'all see somebody running at midnight, don't be
Don't
scared.
shoot.
Hey.
I'm just jogging.
Yeah. So I could say that you're a family man. So what do you think makes a man? If it was a young dude watching right now, what characteristics, what traits do you think he needs to be a man?
I think the first characteristic that will take him the furthest is accountability. As a man, you have to be accountable. A lot of times you think about the things that are attributed to men, like you're brave, you're fearless, you're strong. Well, nothing takes more bravery than being accountable. Nothing is more fearful than having to be accountable to the people who depend on you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like with my wife and my baby girls, like they in some ways own me. Like really, as annoying as it is, like I have to be accountable to them. And so whatever I do, if I go to Vegas tomorrow and I bet the mortgage, I got to come home and be able to look them in the face and be like, Daddy just lost it all on the slot machine or on blackjack, and be strong enough to deal with whatever comes of that. A
Yeah.
lot of times it's emotion. It's a lot of things that come with that men and young boys sometimes try to sidestep because they don't want to deal with it. But that's being brave. Because it's easy to tell them, hey, everybody follow me. I'm going to take us to the promised land. That's easy to say, but when you actually have to do it and you have to be accountable, that's when your own personal fear gets in. Do I really have my plan worked out? Can I forego some of the things, some of the childish things or young men things that I'd rather be doing? So that's what I would say. Accountability is probably the first thing that you'd want to be able to do. If you can be accountable to yourself and others, the rest will come. And then my dad always says, keep living. I'll tell you that too. Keep living. Because there are a lot of things that you think right now that will continue to evolve as you get older. 20-year-old JR, who in my opinion, even in my 44-year-old opinion, 20-year-old JR was a sharp young dude. He was. But he didn't know enough. He didn't have enough life. And 30-year-old JR and 40 knows something different. So now I can only imagine at 50, I'll see things even differently. I'll have more perspective that'll make me more knowledgeable and teach me how to continue to live and not to kind of stale up and not be able to be of asset to anybody as well as myself.
Yeah, to add on to that, I feel like some of the things that make a good man, from what I've seen, is just like most definitely being like honest and trustworthy and just open minded. Because I feel like when men think really open minded, they have to think ahead of the game. Be like, okay, well, we can't move like this because this might happen and stuff like that. But back to what you said about how your mindset was when you were younger. How did it change? What was something that you believed when you were around like 20 that you completely disagree with now?
Is anything off limits?
Nah, you good? Go ahead.
Okay. I'll tell you the biggest lesson I learned. So I was raised in the Christian household, and my father's a pastor. My mother is a minister, pastor as well, because she's in the same ministry. Um, and we were raised Kojic, so that's Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal. And there was always this undertone about homosexuality. And that's how I was raised. Like, that's just how I was raised. There were certain things that I was very open minded and able to think for myself. But then there were other things where I didn't understand how I would just blindly go, right?
Mm.
So I get to college and I meet the three best dudes in the freaking world, like my brothers. They could have been Gabe Roland. That's my real brother. That's how I love them still today. And one of them was different. He was kind of flamboyant from the South. It was so many things that I looked over because that was my dude. He got sick because he had gotten meningitis. His mother died. His mother died while we were in school. And to make this story shorter, his mother died, and right after she died and we buried her, he got sick with meningitis. So I had to go while in college, stay with him for a couple weeks. We used to be roommates, but we had this episode, and JR, his big freaking mouth, he finds something on the internet that was like not manly. And I'm like, yo, what's going on here? And I alienated him. Still so stupid. I'm not understanding what's going on with my best friend in the world, somebody who would die for me, right?
Yeah.
And so when I'm cleaning up his room because he can't clean anymore, he's scared to go to the restroom because he may have a seizure, and he's dealing with this, and all of a sudden, like, I'm starting to like see all of these events, and then I see this picture of him and his boyfriend. And it was weird because when it hit me, it wasn't like the judgment that I had grew up with. I grew up with this judgment and I was just so sure of this. It was more so, the first thing that I felt was shame. Because I said, this is my best friend. And for the better part of 4 years, I haven't given him an avenue to even be honest with me about who he is. Because I'm such a fucking jerk. And I think I know based off of these stupid teachings that people have pounded in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like God was dealing with me, like right there. And it was instant. And it was like I didn't need any more like coaching. I was like, everything I was taught was wrong. And I called my dad. I was like, if there's a heaven, this boy gonna be there. I can guarantee you. Like, he's gonna be there. And he ain't gonna have to change to get there. But it was just so dramatic. And when you talk about what's the difference, it was like that just checked me so hard. And the shame was so powerful. And then when I finally started talking to my other best friends about it, of course, they were like, of course we knew. You was the only one walking around here stupid. Everybody on this campus, all 27,000 undergraduates know Kenya and know who he is, except for you. And then I had to make that right. And I think, now being an advocate for all lifestyles that don't hurt anybody else, it's like, it prepared me for my nephew who, like, when I was young, like, again, these stupid teachings, but I can tell you, I don't care what anybody will tell you. My nephew, I know how he was born because I was there at his birth. And he's been the same way for the beginning. I told my older sister, he's gay. No, he's not. No, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And he is. He's an adult male now. And the way we broke because he wasn't telling anybody. And I started to think to myself, I want to make sure that his strong uncle, Uncle Jay, is not the one holding him back. So we're watching High School Musical back in the day. And I think it was Zac Efron, one of them little chumps. Yeah. It was one of them chumps. And I was like, you think he cute? And she was like, he all right. I was like, okay. And that's kind of like how we got over that. And he been rolling ever since. But that was the biggest change that I would say from when I was a young man to now.
I feel like just with that little question, it's good you kind of initiate that safe little space for him and stuff. Are you open-minded enough to be like, okay, so this is how they think about something. Let me sit back and kind of look at it from their perspective and stuff. Is it easy for you to be like that?
It is. It is. Like, me and my wife, we talk to, now we get to practice on the oldest. You perfect your skill, and that first one, they get a little bit of everything. But we have conversations that are very candid, and we want her to know that whatever she's thinking, she can always come to us and have an open dialogue about it. There are certain things that I'm pretty certain of, but there are a gambit of things that I have no idea. And I'm open to learning, and I'm open to being like, and, I just saw Amazon Prime video commercial just yesterday, and it was a transgender person, and I was like, okay. I was like, I would imagine eventually this community would need advertising geared toward them. Yeah. The same way, like, in the 50s and 60s, y'all gonna start speaking to black people in commercials? Or no, and then McDonald's took the mantle up, and McDonald's was like, okay, we'll be the only people, but I'm loving it. And then, finally now you see commercials, but you gotta remember at 44, when I grew up, some of the stuff that y'all take for granted, like, I ain't never seen no white boy growing up with a black boy on his shirt. Michael Jordan was like the first and only black dude who was ever on a white boy's t-shirt. Maybe Run DMC, depending on if you were from New York. Like, I look at you guys now, and it's just like, even though racism isn't gone, the level of acceptance and things that you guys take very casually, like, all that, like, hip-hop, the way, like, no, I love hip-hop. But everybody loves hip-hop now. It's not a niche anymore. It was like rock and roll for white folks, and black people had soul music, and we would combine, but it would never be like paraphernalia. You're not going to see no white woman wearing a Whitney Houston on her t-shirt. That wasn't going to happen, but it's a new day.
Yeah.
And just for the record, like, I go to the gym sometimes with Britney Spears on me. Listen, I go hard for Britney. Don't try it.
Is that what you be listening to, too?
Hey, sometimes, depending. Depending. She got a couple bangers. I'm not ashamed. I'm a grown man out here. Just saying.
All right, so you say you be going to the gym. What's some ways that you stay self-disciplined? Like, what's a good way to just stay on it, to stay motivated to keep doing it?
I have a way that I feel about myself. And it's important that as I age, I continue to feel how I want to feel about myself. I want to feel attractive. I want my wife to feel like her husband is handsome. I want to feel handsome. When I go to a board meeting, I want to walk in with my suit on and I want it to fit in all the right places, just like a woman would want her dress to fit in all the right places. I've got high self esteem given to me by my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that she must have known that I would need. I look at my children and some of the same things. Like, I didn't know I was small. Like, honestly, like, it was thanks to my mother giving me this unrealistic view of myself because she knew what I would need to carry me, and it has carried me. It has sustained me. There are certain things about JR that just are never going to happen. I'm in my permanent prime. I'm never going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to evaluate somewhere around 70 and be like, you know what? I may be tired of being fit. Screw it. Let's just eat and have a buffet every day. But that's not where I'm at.
Yeah, not yet.
No,
Not yet.
I'm
Okay.
about 30-something years off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm like this about everything. I'm serious. This is serious. I told my wife, I was like, listen, I want some loving for like another 20 years, then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah, go back to it.
Yep, poor Hillary. But I'm telling you, it's just I got goals.
Okay, so
She shouldn't have came. She shouldn't have came.
y'all see why I miss him. Like, okay, so Mr. JR, have you ever like been through something? You got into it with somebody, maybe a family member or something, and it was hard to forgive them. How do you get over that? How do you forgive somebody when it's hard to do it?
Time is a good thing. Time. Yes, I've got into it with a lot of people.
No, I can tell.
Yeah,
Just
so
like,
I'm a static addict. But no, I've got into it with a lot of people. But the best way to get over things is number one, being okay with being wrong and being quick to apologize. Sometimes I can be too quick to apologize because I'm just okay with being wrong and I know I mess up. And some people may need more time. You know, yeah, you were wrong and you could have avoided this if you would have just listened. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I was wrong.
yeah.
And it may take them longer than it takes me, but there are a few times where I've gotten into it with a family member where I just needed some time to let things blow over so that we could be forgiven. Because there are certain things that you can kind of go to in my life, and not from like so much happenings, but certain things where I will like come all the way alive. So I try to like breathe through situations. What I don't like to do is live in regret. And I would tell you that if I don't know this about you, I just know the beautiful spirit that you have. But I would say that if ever you can control your temper, always control it. When
Mm-hmm.
you feel yourself going to this place, get back in control because nothing's worse than living with the regret of something you said that affected somebody in a way that it hurt them.
Yes, sir.
Like, you don't seem like a person who wants to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that really gets me is when I hurt people. If I have to hurt you, like, I'd rather hurt than have to hurt you. And sometimes we just let that mouth go, and you'll look up, and trust me, 9.99999 times out of 10, it ain't worth it. Like, I just know the universe, the creator, whoever you believe in, didn't put you on the planet to hurt other people. Like, never.
Right.
Like, never a time where that's like what you're here for. And so avoid it. Avoid it at all costs. If I got to hurt you, I want to rethink that. I'm starting to feel my energy go up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me slow down because I'm about to say something. I'm about to get you off of me. Part of that things that make a good man, the ability to take it. Like a lot of people say that, toxic masculinity, you hear this term being tossed around, but that's because they're not men. there are great things that my father taught me about manhood that you'd have to be a man to understand. And there's nothing toxic about masculinity. There are toxic people who don't know what being masculine is all about. When my father says you have to take it sometimes, he's not saying suppress your feelings. He's saying in that moment, deal with what you're being taken like a man. Don't react. If you got to go in a room and cry, then go in a room and cry. I live with all women. What would it be like if I came home in tears because of something that happened at somebody's office, or if I lost all the money in the account? How would they take it if daddy's crying?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what's with my wife? It's okay, baby. Now look at my daughter. She's looking at this man who she looks up to for strength, and he's weak. There are times where you can be soft. Somebody died, things like that. But there are also plenty of times where you just have to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
You just do. And people can call it toxic, but I don't buy into that. I call it being masculine, and that's the beauty of masculinity. Just like there are so many beautiful things about femininity that I think sometimes we try to tell a woman not to do. So I guess that's that roundabout answer.
So like you were saying stuff about when you're sad and stuff, or like with your temperance, like when you get mad and stuff. So how do you recharge whenever you get to that point? Like how do you calm down? How do you come to a place to where you're back to yourself? Like what do you do?
You know what? It varies. Sometimes it is my wife will make me some coffee, give me a hug, tell me it's okay to like be like a little bit ridiculous. Like yesterday we were planning around the pool, we get our little tropical, and I was just upset because listen, so like I don't like little foo dogs. Like I don't. I'm sorry. I do not.
They ain't do nothing to you.
They annoy me to death. Their bark, everything about them. Like, and then if you're a boy dog too, back to this masculinity, you have to serve a purpose. Like this little dog, I guess he's like a comfort dog or something. I don't know what he does, but he jumps on my expensive things. His bark is annoying, and I get annoyed. She's like, "You're getting so annoyed." She's like, "You just calm down." I'm like, "See, I'm tired of being told to calm down. Every now and again, I need to yell." She's like, "You know what? You're right."
She just let you have it.
She's like, "Go ahead, get off real quick." Or there are other times where I'll go for a run, or I'll just come downstairs and I'll just be like, "You know what? Like, you don't have it bad. You have it really good.
Yeah.
You get to go see Ryan 8 times a week at the grocery store.
This man shops. Like,
do you know how much money you must be able to maintain to go see Ryan 8 times at that overpriced grocery store she works at?" Like, things are not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what things has your career taught you about yourself?
My career has taught me to never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
Always be the initiator.
Okay,
of
wait.
the
What do
next
you
wave.
do first? What do you do first?
You sound like my children. So listen, nobody knows what I do. Like,
You one of them.
I'm like Tommy, really. Like, he ain't got no job for real. You know what? No, seriously, what I do. Like, if I were to tell you what I did, so I run a UX department. UX is user experience. User experience is in everything we do. The way that you open your computer and navigate to your different apps, somebody had to design that to where you naturally think you're doing this, where there was somebody behind saying when she opens up her computer and she's going to get to her apps this way.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to your watch and you go to different apps, or your phone, design apps. So like I run a user experience department. I design mobile apps. I'm a designer, and it kind of translates to me thinking I can design anything. So like I design houses, I do remodels, I sketch, I do a lot of stuff, but that is my career, a user experience director. That is my career.
Mm-hmm.
And my job did not come. I started when I was 22 out of college.
Wow.
So there was no user experience. There was print, and everything that we did, every art, everything ended up on something that was printed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was 2005, 2004, the CEO I was working for, he was very upset because we had to pay all this money to get a website done. Back in the day, a website would cost you like $125,000. And I'm talking about for just like a home page and a few about us pages. And he's just out of his mind mad. And he was like, I'm paying all you MFers all this money. And first of all, he wasn't paying me a lot of money. But he was cutting me a check. But he was like, I'm paying you all this money and don't nobody in here know how to do this. And then after he cursed us out, goes off on us, he come to my desk and he was like, young boy, he was like, this is the future. He was like, you need to learn this. He's like, this is the future. And I remember like the first week, I still wanted to do like the fun stuff. I wanted to do posters and designs for like the Nike campaign or whatever we were working on. He was like, nah, young boy, this is the future. Mm-hmm. And literally the next year, the .com explosion happened. Look that up. That's before your time. But
look it up.
The .com. And so that was the Super Bowl where every ad was so-and-so.com, blah, 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 .com. It was, we call it the .com era. That's how Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks, that's how he became the multimillionaire. And so learning how to design within this web space all of a sudden became what you needed to know to thrive. Mm-hmm. And luckily enough for me, I was at least smart enough to listen when he was like, young boy, this is the future. And so by the time they start giving it a name, I was already in this realm of work, in this realm of thought, and it has literally provided a very, very good life for me and my family.
So back to what you were saying about what it taught you about yourself.
Teach me that stay pliable, never get too hard, never think that I know where my career is taking me, never think, oh, I know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I just know I want to live well. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to take a lot of different avenues to get that. I think a lot of times we, especially when we're young, we know how we're going to do it. And we say things like this, I want to be a millionaire before I'm 30. All right, you want to be a millionaire? Me too. And I'm still working on that. But I will tell you this, the way I thought I would make my money versus the way I get to feed my family and enjoy my life, mm-hmm. very different things, because you're like, oh, I want to make my money and this, that, and other. No, I want to have a good life and provide a safe home for my family. I want to not live in want. I want to be able to help other people when they need things, and I don't want to feel it when I do it. Because if I have an abundance of anything, like you said, if you got an abundance of motivation inside of you, I'm trying to motivate everybody around me. Mm-hmm. And so if I have finances, I'm giving them away. My wife will tell you, like, I'll be like, oh, we donated to so-and-so today. She's like, word. Like, that's just how we roll. Because I grew up and didn't have a lot. But my parents gave me a lot here and a lot here. So, I mean, whatever you got, that's what I learned from my career. Just being pliable, not thinking I know how it's going to happen for me. I don't know. Like, she'll tell you, sometimes I don't even have, like I'm running my own company. Mm-hmm. And then I'll look up and somebody will be calling me and they'll be like, hey, we need, your expertise. We got a role. And I'll be like, oh, I ain't going back in the office. And then they'll say the right number, Ryan, and then you know how that go. You know how that go.
I don't know how they go. You know how they go.
Well, you will know one day. You will know one day. I'm sure of it. You're going to be like, oh, how much you say?
I'll be here in a minute. Put my shoes on.
I'm driving to Richardson 3 days a week.
Man.
Hour one way. If they paying, I'm playing.
Okay, so what's a good way to save money?
Make some.
Man.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Make some money. But always manage your lifestyle. Like, if I was, let's say I'm making $25,000 a year. If I'm making $25,000 a year, my goal should be to live like I make about 16 if I'm saving. Mm. Also understand, what are you saving for? When we were growing up, it was this rainy day, right? Just save for this rainy day. This dang rainy day just follow you like a dark cloud. I know something bad is gonna happen. I know you just 10 years in, you got this rainy day fun, but you can't take it with you when you die. Like, when this is over, whatever's in my little checking account, they gonna eat it up. They gonna get the little insurance. But
Yeah.
all the living I didn't do, it's over. So figure out how you want to live and then plan accordingly. So if it's saving, have a reason that you're saving because that'll help you save more. When I was 16, I remember I wanted my own car.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were like, well, you got to buy it. So it helped me save because I knew I wanted a car. But now at this age, what am I trying to do? Oh, last thing, I'll say this quick saving. So I never like to feel the money that I put back. I just hate that. I don't know. I just don't want to feel like it came out of a place that was mine, right?
Yeah.
So her 40th birthday, I rent this 86-foot yacht. And it
Oh,
was
y'all do it like that.
your boy nasty. I'm telling you, your boy gets busy. So having this birthday party and it's in Miami, and the yacht was like 11 grand for 8 hours, and so I rented it. You had to put 1,000 down, but
You just saying it like it's nothing. Like, oh, just
I'm older. I'm older. So listen, when you get older, you be like, okay, I used to think $300 was some cash. It is not. But I put 1,000 down, and then each month I planned it out like nine months ahead. $1,200, and my $1,200 came from my fitness clients, so it didn't come from my job at all. But it was like I would just take that. And so when you talk about what's the best way to save, have a goal. So I could just, in my mind, I could just see her pulling up on this big ass yacht, being like, hey, my husband is that dude. And I mean, when the birthday came around, it was like I didn't owe anything else. And everybody was like, this is what you rented? But it didn't feel like 11 grand because I had been saving and each month paying it down. And you can do anything like that. But if you don't have a goal of what you're saving for, it's harder.
Gotcha.
So find a goal.
Yeah, so Mr. JR be party planning y'all. If y'all need a yacht, he got you.
Prime Rentals.
Nah.
Shout out to Miami.
But Mr. JR, you got any advice to anybody watching? Anything to say?
I'll say that be true to you. Make your mission understanding you. Make your mission not only understanding you, but living in the moment. Life goes by so fast. I was you. I'm telling you, I was you, and it seemed like it was yesterday. And I've lived 2 of your lifetimes now. I don't want to end on a serious note, but I am serious about that. Like, you will look up, and everything that you thought you wanted to do, if you're not careful, will just get away from you. And when you get my age, dreams don't feel the same. They don't seem attainable. Like right now, you can do anything. There are limitations, of course, but like the way your life turns out is just totally up to you. If I think about my life, most of it is already decided. There are so many things that would have to happen differently for me to dream something and then change my life.
Yes, sir.
Right now, whatever you want to do, you can figure out a route to it. Be intentional, live in the moment, and enjoy every day you got here.
Yes, sir. Make sure y'all leave in the comments something that you learned and how you're going to apply it to your life. This is Real with Ryan.